Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Gursant Singh. A couple days ago, I produced a video exposing these candidates who are running for the Siri Singh Sahib Corporation. Now this Siri Singh Sahib, or SSSC Corporation, is the one that controls, the board ultimately is the one who controls all of these Yogi Bhajan enterprises and non-profit organizations, like Yogi Tea, which makes hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and 3HO, KRI, which is the Kundalini Research Institute, which collects money from all of these teacher trainers, thousands of dollars from these teacher trainers, in order to teach this Kundalini yoga. Also Sikh Dharma International, which is supposed to represent the Sikh arm of this SSSC organization. Anyway, so couple notes on that. I talked specifically about several board candidates who are running on what's called what they call a pro-Yogi Bhajan agenda. So they want to put Yogi Bhajan's name and image back on all of the products and all of the Kundalini research material. And the leader of that, it seems, is this Siri Singh. Now, as I mentioned in the other video, and I'll say again, just to expand a little bit on that, I knew him back in Los Angeles. And he was involved right from the early 80s in this toner, typewriter, boiler room sales operation that Yogi Bhajan sanctioned and told us all, and I was involved in it too, that there is no karma on the telephone. So we proceeded to just tell people whatever it was needed in order to make the sales. And Siri was heavily involved in it. We used a lot of manipulative techniques, this neuro-linguistic programming, you may have heard about it, which is highly manipulative. We used fake names, made up stories about maybe saying that we were their normal supplier and things like this. So Siri Singh is just, from what I can see, just applied these tactics in these manipulative techniques to persuading these innocent yoga students from around the world into voting for this pro-Yogi Bhajan slate, if you will. There's about, I think, 8 of the candidates who have declared themselves to be pro-Yogi Bhajan candidates. I'll name a few of them. We've got Livtar Singh, and we've got Gursant Singh, Harinam Singh, Siri Singh, of course, and Avtar Singh, I believe. There's a list of them posted on this Yogi Bhajan Kundalini Yoga Abuse Facebook page, and I can put a link to that. So beware of these people. They yearn for that time when they used to commute with Yogi Bhajan and go to $1,000 lunches. I know, like Suri Mukta, Hari Jivan, and all these people who are highly close to Yogi Bhajan. They were comrades with him. And Siri Mukta even brags about that in these town hall meetings that he talked in. So this is what they yearn for, to get back to these good old days. These good old boys want to be able to be in a position where they can control and manipulate innocent yoga students to use them for their money, get them into a position where they can be controlled. And that's exactly what Yogi Bhajan did. So these slates of candidates, that's what they're really after, I believe. I believe that's really their agenda, to, like I said, get into a position where they can control things, just like Yogi Bhajan was doing when he was alive. The other thing I can say is that the Sri Mukta, he was an associate and close to this other Hari Jivan, who was the toner bandit. You might remember him. He spent 18 months in federal prison. He was also very close to the other Hari Jivan. We called him Hari Jivan Sr., who was charged in a field of schemes where he was selling gemstones over the telephone to elderly people, and the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, charged him in a field of schemes. So I believe, again, that these people who are promoting this pro-Yogi Bhajan slate, this platform they've got to put Yogi Bhajan's picture back on everything, and to put Yogi Bhajan front and center, the master abuser and master milker, as I call him, so that they can milk people from their money and time as well. I also want to talk about in this video a little bit about how Yogi Bhajan manipulated the Sikh Gurbani and used it for his tantric and Kundalini yoga. I talked a little bit about that in the last video, and I want to expand on that because I think it's a very important point. It's what we all were taught, that Yogi Bhajan's tantric and Kundalini yoga had a long lineage and history that was rooted in the Sikh religion. Started with Guru Nanak and progressed Baba Siri Chand and Guru Amar Das and Guru Ram Das carried this Kundalini yoga, this tantric yoga tradition, and kept it a secret. And withheld this secret from all the Indian Sikhs for hundreds of years until Yogi Bhajan came along and revealed it to the Western white Sikhs. That's what we all believed, and that's what Yogi Bhajan taught us. So there was an enormous amount of racism that was exhibited towards the Punjabi or Sikhs in India. And I want to play some lectures with Yogi Bhajan speaking so that you all can see and hear for yourself how Yogi Bhajan manipulated us. And I believe that these SSSC candidates are doing the same thing. They want to prolong and continue this racist and an appropriated position where they're appropriating the Sikh religion and using it, twisting it for their own tantric and Kundalini yoga agenda. They want to continue using this Yogi Bhajan nonsense of tantric Kundalini yoga so that they can make money, so they can have control and induct people into their cult. It's really sad and very disturbing how people like Siri Mukta and these other people are trying to induct these Chinese and other people from South America and other countries that aren't very fluent in English into the Yogi Bhajan cult. And so we want to make awareness, and hopefully by my playing this lecture, these segments from this lecture, you'll be able to realize more what's going on. Now, this is a informal talk to the Khalsa Council in 1980. You can listen to the entire lecture or informal talk on this library of teachings that is publicly available. And the date is April 15th, 1980. Yogi Bhajan reveals a lot in this informal talk. And it's very fortunate that it is still public. I hope it continues that way. But just for posterity, I'm recording it here now, segments of it, using the fair use laws and using segments of it and commenting on it. So let's get to it. First segment is about how, it shows how Yogi Bhajan mistranslated Gurbani in order to fit his tantric and Kundalini yoga, and makes up a fake history about this Raj Yoga, as he's calling it. I'll play this first, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, you were asking a question.
Yes. In a lecture in Espanola, you mentioned that Guru Ramdas received the Raj Yoga Tucket, and the person before him to hold it was Krishna.
No, before that, Raj Yoga Takt came to Guru Ramdas. It was given to him by Guru Amar Das, and Guru Nanak celebrated. Our Guru's family comes from the Raj Yoga.
Could you give a brief history and explain what the institution
Ask
is?
this Beer Kaur. It is how is it?
She couldn't figure out anything.
No, she will tell you if she has the time. She knows all about it. First, Takht Raj Yoga was established by Raja Janak. And after that, the second man who celebrated the kingdom of it was Lord Krishna. In between, it carried on, and then finally when it appeared in the Kali Yuga, and that is the house of Guru Ramdas.
Does this embody all the yogic powers, skills?
Without this body of the yogic power and skill, man is just an ordinary animal, lives in the pulsation of time and space. Without uniting with infinity, I don't think there is anything else. Otherwise, some of the people who have left 3HO or Sikh Dharma are those who used to read 5 banis, used to wear almost 2 pounds of more steel than an ordinary person. I have seen those people, some of them wearing totally blue. I have seen them getting Amrit Vela, taking bath, even washing their hair. But the only thing they didn't do is, they didn't do Kundalini Yoga. And all of you who have left are suffering one way or the other. Because playing a tune on a guitar, which is not totally tuned, you are not going to get music. You know, it's a simple endure, an honest endure, an honest tool or technology to make ourselves who we want to be. That's why we emphasize on Kundalini Yoga, not that.
All right, there's several things happening here. The first thing I want to point out is that Yogi Bhajan mistranslates Gurbani, and he uses this shabad in Siri Guru Granth Sahib to imply or to prove that his Kundalini Yoga was taught by Guru Ramdas Ji. And I want to read a take from Dr. Trilochan Singh's book, 1977, Sikhism and Tantric Yoga. Now, Dr. Trilochan Singh was a Sikh scholar and historian who spent months with Yogi Bhajan, and he wrote this highly critical book about Yogi Bhajan and his teachings. And this whole section is dedicated to discrediting Yogi Bhajan's translation or mistranslation of Gurbani. Dr. Trilochan Singh says, Raj Yoga is not the absurd Kundalini asanas as taught by Yogi Bhajan. And this is taken from Sikhism and Tantric Yoga. Misinterpretation of the Sikh ideal of Raj Yoga, political and spiritual sovereignty. Patanjali's yoga has been called Raja Yoga, kingly or royal yoga, by Vivekananda and other great savants. Later on, every school of yoga started applying this term to their own school of yoga. So in yoga literature, this term simply means royal yoga or the chief and outstanding yoga. Yogi Bhajan applies it to his own brand of yoga. Sikhism is not a school of yoga, and as we have seen, it is highly critical of many yoga systems, and positively the antithesis of tantric yoga. But Yogi Bhajan's theorists, who are expert in distorting scriptures and translations, employ the same trick on the interpretation of Raja Yoga. Also, Premka Kar's distortion version. Now, Premka, who was Yogi Bhajan's lead secretary then, now known as Pamela Dyson, she was doing the writing, and Yogi Bhajan was instructing her on what to translate. So, the translation that they use, Yogi Bhajan is using via Premka Kar, Raj Yog Takatadian Guru Ram Das. That's what is written in Gurbani. And Premka and Yogi Bhajan interpret it and translate it as, the throne of Raja Yoga was given to Guru Ram Das forever. Page 1399, page 4621. This is Manmohan Singh's, this is in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Manmohan Singh's correct translation. Guru Amar Das has blessed Guru Ram Das with the secular and spiritual throne. This is Manmohan Singh's correct translation. And then Dr. Triloching Singh says, Premka Kar has again taken illegal steps to attribute to Manmohan Singh her own translation with a motive that is quite clear. The complete text and translation of the verse states that first it was Nanak Chand who brought to the world light and wisdom, and then he gave his sovereign powers and wealth to Angad, who gave them to Amar Das, who gave this throne, Gati, or Raj Yoga, Miripiri, to Guru Ram Das. So, Raj Yoga is a secular throne. It doesn't have anything to do with Yogi Bhajan's Kundalini and tantric yoga. So, Dr. Triloching Singh goes on to say, in their article, The Secret Science of Yoga, the theorists of 3HO say on page 37 that the steps enunciated by Patanjali are clearly necessary ones to be achieved in order to reach a state of enlightened consciousness. And they further make a fantastic statement. The Sikh Dharma has come about because our gurus were the greatest yogis. And then the writers try to prove by misquoting and misinterpreting that the Raja Yoga, which they also call their own brand of Kundalini and Tantric Yoga, is the one which is alluded to wherever the word Raj Yoga is found in Sikh scriptures. These writers and other 3HO exponents of the same subject deliberately misquote and misinterpret passages from Sikh scriptures. And the absurdest of their absurd mystical theories, they say that pineal glands and the pituitary glands are the seats of the 10th consciousness. So, again, Yogi Bhajan does this where he mistranslates Gurbani in order to fit the history that he wants to show his students about Tantric Kundalini Yoga. Now this is important because I didn't see any of these candidates who were disputing Yogi Bhajan's claims about Kundalini Yoga and the fake history that Yogi Bhajan has made up. So they're all going along this path. I said yesterday or the day before when I did the video about exposing the candidates, as long as this keeps up, they're all headed down the wrong path, and it's all going to lead to the debauchery and destruction of 3HO because they're lying about Sikh history. And none of these candidates want to do the research. None of them want to delve into the real story. They want to try to. Some of them want to try to separate Yogi Bhajan from the teachings. It's impossible because Yogi Bhajan is the teachings. Yogi Bhajan is the Kundalini Yoga. He said that his Kundalini Yoga is the one that brings you to this higher consciousness or whatever. Okay, so let's go to the next part of this talk, where Yogi Bhajan talks more about this Raj Yoga. We'll discuss this. I also want to point out how Yogi Bhajan, in that last bit, he put off the student who was asking the question and said to talk to somebody else about getting the specifics of the history. When it comes to it, Yogi Bhajan could never give any specifics of it, and of this fake golden chain. And it just, you know, it's just ridiculous how he just fakes it, basically. And the students, because they're naive, like I was too, back in, I was in my 20s back then. I was just getting involved in 1980. I'd been involved for a couple of years, but at that age, you know, in your early 20s, you just don't know, you know, what's what. But a lot of these candidates, like Guru Rajkar was at this lecture. I know because Yogi Bhajan mentions her name, and you'll see later, hear that. I think Livtar was there, Livtar Singh, at this lecture. I think he even asked some of these questions. But these candidates are still holding on to this completely fraudulent account of the Sikh history and the history of the Gurus. There's no evidence at all that there was any kind of Kundalini or tantric yoga ever taught by the Sikh Gurus or any of the saints and sages that were writing in the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib. There's just no evidence of it. So let's move on here now. And oh, the other point I wanted to make too about that last bit, the last clip there, was how he makes all the students who have left feel guilty and feel fear that they will be have to go through 8.4 million lifetimes again because they didn't do the Kundalini yoga. It's just really a diabolical tactic, if you will, on Yogi Bhajan's part to make people feel guilty for not doing his tantric and Kundalini yoga. He really had the devilish tactics down. He was a master at this neuro-linguistic programming, Yogi Bhajan, and really roped us in for so many years. I was just roped in for 30 years. I thought that if I stopped doing the Kundalini yoga and the tantric yoga, that I would just go to hell, you know, and be burned in the desert. He told many people that, and you can hear it in these lectures, and he'll go on and on. So this really separated the way he talked. This really separated us from the Sikhs from India, the orthodox Sikhs, and Yogi Bhajan really wanted us to disassociate from all of them. And in fact, most of this lecture is about Nirbho Kaur and Guru Gun Kaur, who were interested in being with the Akhand Kirtan Jata, which is a group of Sikhs who their interest is to reciting Gurbani constantly. They do Kirtan constantly. Their devotion to Waheguru is really above none. All they do is they recite Gurbani and do Kirtan. So he is chastising them for trying to get involved with this Akhand Kirtan Jata group, and just really blasts them. And he blasts the Akhand Kirtan Jata, and you'll hear this in these lecture clips that I'm going to play here. You'll hear more of this, how he just blasts them and calls them all kinds of names, and just really very disturbing and very sad too. So anyway, I hope that this doesn't trigger too many people, but I think it's necessary to listen to some of these lectures because you really need to know the history behind what these candidates who are running for office are still holding on to. They're still grasping onto. They want to go back to those days when Yogi Bhajan was the king of the hill and who was, you know, going to La Scala and Beverly Hills and making a whole scene. I remember when I was on guard duty, we'd go up there like a swarm of white clouds coming up into the Beverly Hills, and they're at the La Scala restaurant and everything. That's what these people want. These candidates, they want to go back to those days when Yogi Bhajan was never questioned, when he was just the king of the hill there, and they just really yearn for those days again. So that's why they're really fighting to keep and preserve these what they call these so-called teachings. which are nothing more than a bunch of lies and deceptions on Yogi Bhajan's part. So I want to show you just how much of a pathological liar Yogi Bhajan was and how he deceived us into believing all of these completely false stories and histories about Sikhi. Okay, let's go to this next clip now.
Sir, when you mentioned the
Raj Yoga Takhat Diyan Guru Ramdas. Guru Ramdas was given the throne of Raj Yoga. Who is going to practice? Indians don't practice. We are the only one who practice. That's why we carry Harmandir in our heart. Till we built it or occupy it. Either way. Yeah. First song we said, oh, take care, hold of your golden temple. Remember? Huh? Guru Singh wrote that. How can you forget things? They're all history. Yeah.
when you were talking about the lineage of Raj Takht,
Takht Raj Yoga.
Takht Raj Yoga, you mentioned Krishna was the second, and then
Ask Jasbir to take it out, or ask Paisa. This is spiritual matter.
you said the same lineage for the Mahan Tantric. So what I thought.
Well,
was,
let the historian find it out. I pass.
All right, there you have it. Yogi Bhajan is just a big fraud, and they really caught him there. He didn't know how to answer that. He was completely just at a loss for words about trying to come up with some kind of explanation for this fake history about this golden chain. It's just proof right there in my mind that he's just a pathological liar and making this stuff up as he goes. But we all just, bought it. I guess the only excuse I have is just because I was young and naive and I wanted to believe in some magical formula that would bring me salvation anyway. So I think that that clip there is really proof that Yogi Bhajan is just a big fraud. And as I said, these candidates want to perpetuate that fraud, and that's the problem here. All right, so let's go to the next clip. Now this shows, I think, how Yogi Bhajan would, I guess the only word for it is slander, but I'd say just blast with fraudulent claims, people that he didn't like. And one of the people he didn't like was this Amarjit Kaur, who was the widow of Fauja Singh, who was a martyr and a Sikh martyr. And Yogi Bhajan just was so profane. He used a lot of profanity. He was not shy about slandering others, but criticized people for slandering him, and then made people feel guilty about criticizing him, just to the extent he'd make them live in fear that they would, like I said, burn in hell and burn in the desert. So just listen to this, and you get the idea about just how abusive and trying to think of some other words, just awful. It's the only word I can say. Disturbing Yogi Bhajan is when he would communicate with people.
I'm trying to figure out for other people in the future,
That's what we are
the fact that they, whoever these people are, would say something to you, if they knew anything more than what you know as a consul who lived as a consul for all these years. But they speak so much Gurbani. They speak Gurbani all the time. And that's what it's done in the name of Gurbani. I mean, that's what...
So that's near Bokar, and she's returned from India after Yogi Bhajan blasted her for staying with the Akan Kirtan Jata for some time. And she's saying that the a Kankirtan Jata, would always be reciting Gurbani, playing Kirtan, and she really enjoyed it, really loved it. But Yogi Bhajan did not want us to associate with traditional or orthodox Sikhs. He wanted to keep us away from those. I had an experience where I took ragis in Los Angeles around, because I was on this public relations team with this Hari Jivan, who was a gem bandit, I guess you might say. He was charged in that Federal Trade Commission field of schemes. Anyway, I was taking these ragis around. I was supposed to take them around to Universal Studios in Disneyland. And then they wanted to go to a couple of the Gurdwaras and other Sikhs' homes and play kirtan and associate with them. And I said, that sounds great, sounds good to me. And so I took them all around for the day and then came back and proudly told Yogi Bhajan, well, you know, they didn't want to go to Disneyland. They wanted to go see other Sikhs and play kirtan and go to some of the Gurdwaras. And he just blasted me. Yogi Bhajan blasted me. He said, how are you trying to destroy me? You know, what are you doing? And I just was dumbfounded by it. But the fact is that Yogi Bhajan wanted to keep us away from the traditional and orthodox Sikhs because he didn't want us to learn what true Sikhi was about and what devotion to Gurbani was like, and the peace and joy that one attains by devoting your life to Gurbani and to Sri Guru Granth Sahib. He wanted to keep us away from that. So listen further and just see how Yogi Bhajan treats Nirbhokar.
The whole thing, I mean, I just wanted to hear that Gurbani, hear about the Guru, and then they slide this other stuff in underneath them.
No, Gurbani, you can hear Gurbani in Golden Temple all the time, and there is nothing can be slided there.
They translate it. Yeah, they translate it from their own point of view, right? Is that right? Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, they translate it. In the process of time.
Well, you can buy a book for $5 and read the whole translation. What really was? The translation tools, they have been translating to me for last 11 years. They gave me Sropa, they gave me Paisa, they made me Siri Singh Sahib. This time they gave me a lot of shawls. I mean, they have been doing whatever they could. Nothing sink in. I mean, we are trying to understand if we have to go in this October, what shall be our fate? How many are going to left behind? What they know? They know poaching. Tell me, what they would have got by converting you to them?
They would have gotten, see, he doesn't have hold on all of them.
I don't have a hold on anybody.
Well, they think you have hold on everybody, that you won't let anybody go.
Where? Where? I mean, it's worthwhile discussing. I think this is the most important thing. What the whole do we have?
Well, they think that you want everybody to stay. And this second thing is another thing to add fuel to their fire, that you want to set yourself up as Guru and don't want to let anybody go to the true Guru.
Which true Guru?
The Guru Granth Sahib, Guru Gobind Singh.
Have you been there?
The Guru Gobind Singh?
Yeah.
No.
They didn't like you go either. So what is this? I am setting up on a guru. What is the problem? Are you dumb? You don't understand that?
Oh, I understand.
So why didn't you stand up and say, shut up? Participating with slander is a sin which cannot be cured until the one whom you have slandered does not forgive you.
So there you can hear how Yogi Bhajan manipulates these students into, when they ask the question and say that you're being accused, Yogi Bhajan's being accused of being a guru. And many people heard Yogi Bhajan say he was the Guru. Baba Nam Singh was there at the Darbar Sahib, the Golden Temple, when Yogi Bhajan took the prasad that was supposed to be the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib's prasad, and he ate it first, and Baba Nam confronted him about it, and he said, "I am the Guru," something like that, and that's written in an article that came out in the Sikh Free Press about how Baba Nam. I spent several months with Baba Nam Singh there in India, and that was 1982. Met Sant Janal Singh Bin Wali as well. Anyway, so many people heard him say that. I heard him say that in a lecture. I haven't been able to find that lecture, but later I'll play for you a clip where Yogi Bhajan says, "I am the Amrit." This is just complete sacrilege. So when this student, your Bokar, confronts Yogi Bhajan about being accused of saying he's the Guru, he twists it, he manipulates it, and turns it against her, and saying that that she's going to burn in hell basically if she listens to this slander or doesn't even stand up. He's saying you should have stood up and fought for me or something like that. So Yogi Bhajan is extremely manipulative, and like I said, you have to understand these people are in their 20s and early 30s at the oldest, and he was much older than twice their age, and we all looked up to him as being the great spiritual leader, and I think a lot of these candidates, or all of them, I think really, they still see Yogi Bhajan as this great spiritual leader and everything. But I'm here to expose him, and expose him with his own words about how he twisted and made up these fake histories of things. And so let's continue.
God cannot forgive you. You participated against my slander, and I am your spiritual teacher. I took you to Guru. And that is what makes you to sin. And you sin in the house of my Guru. And that's why I wanted you to be here and yell and scream at you to redeem you. You confused pup.
I will be eternally grateful for the good gifts.
Eternally grateful. Otherwise, 8.4 million lifetime you are gone in circle, damn it, and even neither God and not Guru can give you forgiveness. There's a saying, if the rebel, the one who guides you to the Guru, and God are standing, whose feet I should touch? He said, I touch the feet of the rebel because he is the one who made me to see God. This is the only polite way they insult you, and totally do not think you are anybody when they insult about me and you tolerate.
That was my duality. That's what it created, was the choice between you and the Guru.
There is no choice between me and Guru.
That's what they created.
You could not even write the word Guru. They could not create it. You created it. It is their purpose now. It's a regular communist plot to make American Sikhs divided, put them in duality, fall them apart, and use them.
I just have to say, shame on Yogi Bhajan for just manipulating these young students. It just makes me extremely angry when I go back and listen to this. And what's even more disturbing is how these students who are at this lecture, like Guru Rajkar, Livtar Singh, and I'm not sure, maybe some of those other candidates, maybe this Amrit Singh, I'm not sure, but the older Amrit Singh. A lot of these people, these candidates for this SSC board, they were at this lecture. And they are not waking up to the fact that Yogi Bhajan was a sociopath, and he wanted to control people, and bring them into his cult and under his control. He uses manipulation, he uses guilt, he uses fear, telling this poor Nirbhokar that she's going to have to come back 8.4 million lifetimes. Who the hell is he to say that people have to come back? You know, in Sikhism we have a relationship with only the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Sri Guru Granth Sahib is our guru, not this, I won't say the profanity, but this Yogi Bhajan, who is a cult leader and a Shiv Shakti worshipper. He is definitely put on the hot coals here. He should be just flayed alive. And I'm sure there's a special place in hell for this Yogi Bhajan. It just really makes me extremely angry how Yogi Bhajan tried to manipulate these people. And then also slandering and saying falsehoods about these other groups of Sikhs who are very dedicated to Sikhi, who all they do is recite Gurbani, recite kirtan, play kirtan. So let's move on here.
I'm not an idiot. Isn't Guraj called those Naxalites in Vancouver are used by the Communist Party propaganda?
Absolutely.
Huh?
100%.
There was just Guru Rajkar, he named her. So she was definitely at this lecture. And she's one of these candidates in the SSSC board. Ask her, if you get a chance before the election, I know it's next couple days, ask her why she is still holding on fast to these Yogi Bhajan lies.
Spiritual teacher controls the heart chakra. It is the ajna which the Guru controls. It is the sashra which the God controls. Dummy, you would have asked me on the telephone this question. What they said, go ahead.
That was it.
They said, where is your spiritual teacher? You said, here. It is the beat of the life and the progressive and polarity of consciousness. It is the gratitude for that learning through which experience of God is achieved. And I bow to infinity that I met such a man who made me to see the true Guru.
There's that manipulation, that almost like hypnotic voice that Yogi Bhajan used in order to manipulate people. It's a technique in neuro-linguistic programming. You establish rapport with the person you're trying to manipulate. And Yogi Bhajan is a master at this. And he just uses this word salad and everything. It just is a technique for manipulation.
Yes.
I have a question. Is it, there are many of these Indian Sikhs, the people who have been fooling many of us, that appear to be Sikhs. They do their nickname, they get up in Amrit Vela, they do all this. But obviously they're subject to slander and they're obviously not Sikhs. Is it because they don't have a spiritual teacher?
We call them mental patas.
But what, is it because they don't do yoga and don't...
No, what happened is, we have a spiritual teacher, and now our spiritual teacher will be the body of the Khalsa. That's what the desire of Guru Gobind Singh. And we are interpreting that teacher. We are interpreting the brotherhood of the Khalsa. We are going to have a Sarkar Khalsa, Darbar Khalsa. We are going to have everything which they never had. And they are jealous and they are shrinking in their boots. You know, in 10 years we have created what we have created. Far happened. They don't have it. So what are you going to do?
Why? Why don't they have it?
They shall never have it. Their children shall suffer and they'll be disgraded and disgraced now. So I said it, so it be recorded, and so it shall be.
It is so ironic how Yogi Bhajan put down the Akhand Kirtan Jata, he put down the Orthodox Sikhs, and now and said that they will be destroyed or, disintegrate. And now his organization, Yogi Bhajan's organization, is the one being destroyed. And all the other orthodox traditional Sikh organizations are just growing in leaps and bounds. There's thousands of gurdwaras all over the world. I've been to many of these Ransabai kirtans and samagams, and there's just thousands of Sikhs now, thousands of Sikhs, and all of their children are learning Gurbani and kirtan, just wonderful. I participate in this cyber sangat because I'm here in New Mexico. I don't have a regular sangat, and I participate in the cyber sangat out of California, which is orthodox Sikhs that have gotten together, and I do what they call a cyber sangat, Amrit Vela, where we recite Pat and do Nam Simran, and it's just wonderful how these young, very young children, Sikhs, are reciting Pat and learning Gurbani. It's just so inspirational. They come on and do Asikivar in the morning, every morning, and these young children. It's just really inspirational. So anyway, it's just so ironic how Yogi Bhajan, his whole organization is just falling apart, and the other Orthodox Sikhs are just rising up in leaps and bounds and flourishing in these times now.
And you be the witness of it. And you too. Yes.
Sir, why should this be necessary that this should happen to them at this time?
Because they exploited the innocent of the woman of the Khalsa. Yes.
Seems to me that it is because they don't have a spiritual teacher, because the difference between having a spiritual teacher is that our egos get confronted, and without that, they can constantly interpret, Gurbani any way they want to.
Yeah. Apradi duna nave, jiu hanta mar gaye. This is Gurbani. The sinner bends more and takes the arrow and kills the deer. Sis navaye kya hue je hriday ko siddha jaye. By bowing your head, what it matter, Guru said, if your heart goes astray. Hriday ko siddha jaye. What is the use of bending, touching my feet and loving me? In your heart there is no grace. That's Gurbani. I didn't make it up.
How did they get to the plateau of the Dharma if they didn't climb the staircase as we climb through Kundalini Yoga to the Dharma?
They have no sadhana. They get up in the morning, take a shower. The damn dogs and idiots, God bless them. They just bark it out.
Again, shame on Yogi Bhajan for talking this way about Akhand Kirtan Jata and other Orthodox Sikhs. It's just really abusive and manipulative. He's trying to manipulate these innocent Western Sikhs who just don't know. And he talks ill about Orthodox Sikhs who are really very reverent and dedicated to Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib. It's just really very, very disturbing, and really frankly makes me angry how Yogi Bhajan manipulated us like that. And first of all, another thing is sadhana is a Hindu term. And Yogi Bhajan, for the most part, if you all don't realize it, he was more Hindu than Sikh. He did a lot of these Hindu pujas. He gave Hindu mantras out. In fact, this Aquarian sadhana that is supposed to be performed every morning by Sikhs and non-Sikhs and 3HO and Sikh Dharma that's supposed to be performed every morning. There's a Hindu mantra in there, and Yogi Bhajan gave this out. So Yogi Bhajan used all kinds of Hindu terms like sadhana and mandir. He called the ashram up here mandir, which is a Hindu temple, and he instructed that name to be put up there. So like I said, I have pictures of him doing Hindu pujas and Hindu fire ceremonies and things like that. And he also wore all of these big jewels and rings and stones for astrological purposes, which is completely against Sikh Maryada. As Sikhs, we're only supposed to believe and get strength from Sri Guru Granth Sahib, not from stones or from astrological predictions. We're supposed to look only to Sri Guru Granth Sahib for guidance. Yogi Bhajan was just, he was a mountain of just contradictions and lies, pathological liar. He'd say on one side that he was a Sikh, and the other side he would be Hindu, and one side he'd say he was trying to help women, and the other side he'd be abusing them and raping them. So it's just, I think it's really a sign that he was a narcissist and maybe even a sociopath or certainly a pathological liar. Anyway, so let's move on here.
They don't sit, they don't know how to meditate. That's why they are falling apart. That's why Hindus are totally walking over them. That's why Nirankaris and Namtaris and everybody is splitting around. That's why there's no teacher. They are not spreading the word of the Guru through experience. They have no heart, they have no heart chakra. They are all politicians.
So if they start to do Kundalini yoga and sadhana,
they can do any yoga. They may not do any yoga, they may jump from the roof. I don't care. They have to do something to get to a stage where they can just receive Nam. Kundalini yoga is not a property of any religion. Tantric yoga is not a property of any person. Do you have to understand that? That's why we have a ordained ministry. They don't have a ordained ministry. What you can do about them? Here there is a Mukhiya Singh Sahib, there is Singh Sahib. Somebody confronts somebody, somebody talks somebody is responsible. They have no organization. Everybody is a Mukhiya Singh Sahib there.
All right, that's more of falsely making false claims against this Akhand Kirtan Jata and putting them down in order to keep his students in his cult. I think this is very clear that Yogi Bhajan wanted to do that. All right, the next clip here I think is really important. Yogi Bhajan says that he is the Amrit. Now, Amrit Sanchar is a very sacred ceremony where someone who wants to be baptized into the Sikh religion and be Khalsa takes this Amrit Sanchar from a Panj Pyare, which are 5 Amritdhari Sikhs, and it's a, like I said, a very sacred ceremony, and not to be taken lightly. Yogi Bhajan sacrilegiously says in this quote that he is the Amrit. And I want you to hear this because I think it really shows just how manipulative, how sacrilegious, and narcissistic Yogi Bhajan was. And importantly, how all of these candidates still hold on to that image of Yogi Bhajan. They may say they want to get rid of his name, some of them, but they still hold on to these so-called teachings of his.
let it be so known to you that I am the Amrit, as far as you are concerned. If you think, imagine less than any other way, you will be ungrateful, and you shall be punished before God to be ungrateful to the one who took you to Amrit.
There you have it. Again, Yogi Bhajan making us feel fearful that if we didn't follow him and that we didn't treat him like he was the Amrit, again, think about that, that he is substituting himself for the Panch Pyare, the sacred five beloved ones of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. It's hard to believe now that I actually bought all this nonsense and lies. So really, I would encourage people to confront Guru Rajkar and ask her, now what does she think about this lecture? Play her that clip and see what she thinks about that now. Also this Gurshabad and Harinam Singh, this Siri Singh, all of these people who think Yogi Bhajan is the greatest thing since sliced toast. There you've got it. He is committing blasphemy, complete sacrilegious statement he's making there. All right, so one final clip here I want to play. Now, as I said, this whole informal talk was Yogi Bhajan trying to convince Nirbhau and Guru Gun Kar, who, by the way, I want to talk a little bit about Guru Gun Kar. She was, her story is very sad, and I pray that the powers to be in Yogi Bhajan's group will make amends to her. Yogi Bhajan promised her that he would take care of her and that the organization would take care of her for her entire life. And she got involved with the Akhand Kirtan Jata. She really enjoyed being with them. This was in the late 70s, early 80s. And Yogi Bhajan pulled her out of there and told her that, that he would take care of her and that the whole organization would take care of her. He took all of her inheritance, millions of dollars from what I understand, and used that money, by the way, to purchase this land up here, this Ramdas Puri, as they call it, where they have the summer solstice and everything. Anyway, so Yogi Bhajan blasts her in this lecture for being with the Akhand Kirtan Jata and enjoying the kirtan and everything, which is just unbelievable. But it turned out later that Yogi Bhajan dumped her, and I remember when she was working over at the Secretariat in Los Angeles, and this was in the 80s there, and I guess it was later on that Yogi Bhajan dumped her, and the organization refused to take care of her. My understanding is that she's living in a RV in California someplace. So I think really if they want to avoid some lasting karma, this organization, they should make amends to this Guru Gun Kar. Anyway, so she was at this informal talk, and like I said, Yogi Bhajan was blasting her for being part of this Akhand Kirtan Jata and listening to them. So in this next clip, you'll hear Yogi Bhajan call this Fauja Singh's widow, Amarjit Kaur, some really horrific names, both in English and Punjabi. And for somebody who calls themselves a saint or that calls themselves a spiritual teacher, it's very, very shameful and makes me extremely angry how Yogi Bhajan can use this kind of language and accusations against somebody who's dedicated their life, like Amarjit Kaur, to the Guru, and to reciting Gurbani and being the, like I said, the widow of this martyr. So listen to this, please.
She could have politely said, Bibi ji, you are slandering and you are a bitch. Tu kutti hai. यहाँ कह देती, बीबी जी, आप जी कुत्ती हो. आप जी, politely, आप जी, ए बक बक करनी बंद करो. बस, that matter would have finished there and then. Anji? Yeah.
Sir, when we all go back to our ashrams, we might have opportunities where
So, like I said, that's just really disturbing. How he's actually telling your Bokar, Guru Gunkar, to call this BBG, as he calls her, this Amarjit Kaur, who's the widow of Fauja Singh, call her these names. I won't repeat them. And then everybody laughs after that. It shows the extreme racism and the extreme arrogance and the they're thinking that they're entitled to be some special kind of Sikhs or something that were blessed by Guru Ram Das to have this special technology that Yogi Bhajan brought, this Kundalini yoga and tantric yoga. It couldn't be farther from the truth. Whenever I meet Sikhs around the world and start to mention about how Yogi Bhajan twisted the Sikh religion, they'll inevitably say to me, they'll say, well, yeah, they think they're better than us. And this is really sad. I see it all the time. Like I said, it bears out because there's just no traditional Sikhs, no Sikhs of Punjabi origin on the Khalsa Council. There's no Punjabis or Sikhs that are from Punjab who are part of this SSSC board or even candidates for it. They're mostly all white, almost all white males, over 60. So they're clinging to this Yogi Bhajan's teachings in a desperate effort to bring back these good old days where Yogi Bhajan, like I said, was on the top of the mountain and that he was controlling people and manipulating them with all of his manipulative tactics. Shame on Yogi Bhajan. He really did so much damage. Let's just listen to this a little bit more.
we'll come in contact with the concrete Ucheta people. How basically should we, deal with them?
Our policy should be protect our own sheep and our own herd. And let them not steal our wool. They will try their best. They are going to penetrate through our places and they want some white-skinned people for their ego and prachar. You have no value for them though. They can't even socialize you, they cannot understand you, they cannot understand your psychology. But one thing they want.
Like Yogi Bhajan really could understand our psychology. It's just so ironic. Yogi Bhajan just manipulated us. He wanted to keep us in his cult. That's the whole idea. And he didn't want us to associate with Sikhs from the Punjab.
Not you. As Bibi Amarjit Kaur always wants that we should send 5 people there, permanent resident, one after the other, so that her group can go and good Amrit Prachar. We are a good bait as a PR to collect people in villages. And I don't think we can afford it. Because we are no more young people who can afford not to work. We have to run our families sometime. Husband and wife has to work to keep. Inflation has gone up, dollar has gone down. Things are a lot tighter. You know what I'm trying to say? So we cannot cater to their needs.
All right, so again, he's using excuses that we have to work or whatever, not to associate with them, and the Orthodox Sikhs. All right, that's all the clips I have for today. And again, I want to leave you with this message, that you do your own research. Listen to these lectures yourself. Like I said, this is an informal talk to the Khalsa Council, April 15th, 1980 in Los Angeles. It can be listened to, or you can read the transcript. on the Library of Teachings. It's on Google. Just Google it and then put in that date there. And that's the informal, it says SSS, Informal Talk to the Khalsa Council. And also, I want to encourage everybody to ask these candidates some of these tough questions that I've been bringing up about how Yogi Bhajan was a pathological liar and how he lied about this history of Kundalini Yoga being part of the Sikh religion. It's just complete nonsense. When I talk to orthodox Sikhs about it, they say, you know, tantric and Kundalini Yoga is just the antithesis of Sikhi. You also may want to read this book, Sikhism and Tantric Yoga. It's available on my website, gurmukyoga.com. You can download it as a PDF. I understand many people now have taken that PDF and they've even put it on Amazon now where you can get it, or lots of other places. But I encourage you to read that book. It really brings out just what a pathological liar Yogi Bhajan was and a manipulator he was, and how he manipulated us, and how he continues, even from the dead. He continues to hold a spell on these people who are running for these SSSC posts or board spots. Anyway, thank you for your time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.